If you're hearing a ringing sound in your ears right now, especially at night, there's something extremely important you need to understand. Because according to researchers from Harvard, this sound is not random, it's not harmless, and it's not something you can just get used to. In fact, they warn that once tinnitus reaches a certain stage, the brain can lock this sound in permanently. And the most dangerous part is that most people don't realize when they're approaching that point. The ringing usually starts quietly, sometimes only at night, sometimes only when everything goes silent. And people think, it's nothing, I'll deal with it later. But Harvard researchers say that mindset is exactly what allows the condition to become much harder to reverse. What makes nighttime ringing worse is not the ear itself, it's what happens inside the brain when external noise disappears. During the day, your brain is distracted. Sounds compete for attention, traffic, voices, movement. But at night, silence removes those distractions, and that's when the brain amplifies internal signals. This is why the ringing feels louder, sharper, and more intrusive when you lie down. What most doctors never explain is that tinnitus is not only an ear problem, it's a neurological feedback loop. Once the brain detects abnormal sound signals, it tries to compensate, and in doing so, it can accidentally reinforce the signal instead of suppressing it. Harvard scientists discovered that this loop becomes stronger with time. The longer the brain repeats the signal, the more it believes the sound is real and necessary. This is why some people say the ringing moved from the ear to the head. It's not imagination, it's neural conditioning. And here's where things get serious. According to this research, there is a limited window where the brain is still flexible enough to interrupt this loop. Miss that window and the brain adapts permanently. That's where the 14 days warning comes from. It's not a marketing phrase, it's a neurological timeline. Once the auditory cortex fully adapts to the ringing signal, reversing it becomes exponentially harder. This is why so many people try treatments for years with little success. They focus on the ear, drops, devices, noise masking, but none of that addresses the real source of the problem, the brain. Harvard researchers found that tinnitus intensifies at night because that's when the brain's sound filtering system is most vulnerable. Stress, lack of sleep, and anxiety accelerate this process. And ironically, worrying about the ringing makes the loop stronger. The more attention you give it, the more the brain prioritizes it. That's why simply ignoring tinnitus rarely works. In fact, ignoring it without addressing the brain signal can make it worse. This is the mistake most people make. They wait, they hope it goes away, they assume it's normal aging. Meanwhile, the brain is learning the sound, locking it in. What Harvard's findings revealed is that interrupting this loop early can dramatically reduce ringing intensity, especially at night. But it requires targeting the brain's auditory processing system, not just the ear. This explains why people who act early often report sudden relief, while others see no improvement at all. Timing matters. If you're noticing ringing that gets worse when you lie down, when the room goes silent, or when you try to sleep, this is not something to postpone. This is your warning phase. And this is exactly what the Harvard presentation explains in detail: why tinnitus feels louder at night, why it suddenly becomes constant, and what needs to be done before the brain fully adapts to it. The presentation goes step by step through the science behind this process and shows why people who act within this critical window have far better outcomes. If you're still in the early or middle stages, this information could make a massive difference. But the longer the ringing has been present, the more urgent this becomes. That's why the researchers are very clear. You don't have unlimited time, you have a window. And once it closes, the brain stops responding the same way. If you want to understand what's actually happening inside your head and why nighttime ringing is a major warning sign, the full explanation is available through the link near this video. It breaks down the Harvard findings in a way that finally makes sense without medical jargon and shows what steps people are taking before it's too late. Because the ringing is not just a sound, it's a signal. And how you respond to it now determines whether it fades or stays.